What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Jody MF Keith back again with another daily dredge. Today, before we get into the games, I just want to break down the updated list. A lot has changed. This is post Pro Tour list that I'm working with now. In previous videos, we were on a more stock list. A lot of things you'll see here are pretty standard. Nothing too crazy. So I have the split on the removal. We'll start there with the Punishing Fires, the Molten Vortex, and the one Barbarian Ring. That way we have 2 hedges against Death and Taxes, which I think should be a more popular deck, especially after this Pro Tour. Looks like Death Shadow has become more popular, so we have the full set of Groves, even though we only play the 2 Punishing Fires. Normally when I only play 2 Punishing Fires, I only play 3 Groves and then make room for a Horizon Canopy, but I think the Groves are important, especially if Death Shadow becomes one of the tempo decks that we have to fight. That's the removal. We have the standard engine package, Gamble, Crop Rotation, Life from Loam. We do have the Manabond with the Explorations. For our Mana Denial, we're going with the 3-in-1 split with the Rishadan Port and the Ghost Quarter. Honestly, at this point, I think Rishadan Port got a lot better post-ban, but I do think a 2-2 split might be a little better, but I'm unsure. I still need to test the ports more, so that's what we're working with today. And we're still down to 2 mazes. You see this in a lot of lists. Maze of Ith is down to 2. I could see it going back up to 3 if Death Shadow completely unseats Rug Delver, and also if Death and Taxes becomes more popular, because it is one of the best lands against Death and Taxes. This list has the full suite of all the interactive lands in the main deck with the Karakas, the Tabernacle, the Glacial Chasm, and again we have the Barb Ring over the 3rd Punishing Fire as a hedge against Sanctum Prelate. I do like playing 36 lands, more lands. The more lands, the better. But I've done this a lot. A lot of people swear by the 3 Punishing Fires. I can get by with just 2. We have Gamble to get them. You rarely need multiples, so you really only need 1 to find one through dredging or Gamble. It is nice to have, but it's less important to have early now that Deathrite Shaman is banned, so it's even more. And I've done it whenever Deathrite was in the format, so I think we're fine with that setup for 4 removal spells. This is our Mana Denial with the 1 Ghost Quarter. I do think that a 2nd Ghost Quarter over the 2nd Port would be better if we were to see an uptick in these Eldrazi decks. The Ghost Quarter is way better than the Port in those matches. Also, I think the Death Shadow and the Grixis Delver decks, the Port is good against them, but I mean, being able to close them out with the Ghost Quarter would be good. We have the full combo, 4 and 4, the 4 Groves, the 4 Fetchables, 2 Taigas, 1 Forest, and a Sheltered Thicket with 3 fetches and a Riftstone Portal. In the board, we have the Ancient Tomb. I'm going with the 4 Spheres. Pretty much always play 4 sphere effects of some kind. I like the 4 Spheres. And then I'm going with the 2 Chalices here. And then this spot, this could also be a 2nd Choke as one of these Chalices. I do like the Chalices, especially if Death Shadow becomes the tempo deck to beat. Then Chalices is going to be really good, since one of their primary threats, well, two-thirds of their primary threats are 1-drops, so this will shut off a lot of their threats. Lands also gets better if Death Shadow becomes the deck, because just having Natural Grove with Burnwillows and having one of your lands that normally doesn't do anything but produce mana interact with their threat is a huge boon for the lands deck. We have the 3K group with the Ancient Grudge split. I think that's a fair way to go, given the uptick in Eldrazi. There's more Chalice of the Voids out there. It's a nice free board in if you're worried about something like Pithing Needle. I would always play the Ancient Grudge over the 4th Krosan Grip for diversity's sake, and then also this whenever, you know, Stone Blade's back, so Ancient Grudge is better against the Batter Skulls and the other equipment, Sword of Fire and Ice and stuff. I do have the 3 Trackers and the 1 Choke. The Choke is a handle on the mid-range blue decks, Grixis and whatnot. The Tireless Tracker is just a good alternate win con. In a newer format, I usually tend to play more trackers because this is like your training wheels for unforeseen sideboard cards. Not that you always need them, but if the metagame's more defined, you can relegate one of these spots to be a crucible. Like if you see there's a lot of Loam mirrors, or not that Tracker's bad in those matches, but if you want something that's a little better, you can swap out the third Tracker for something else. But this is the list. Let's get into the games, see how it plays. So we won the die roll. We'll choose to play first. Looking at this opening hand, we see a gamble that will likely get a life from the Loam. We have some mana disruption and Rishadan Port. We have a punch and fire for removal with no grove. So we have light mana disruption. We have the engine and the gamble, and we have light acceleration with Mox Diamond. On the play, I think this hand's a keep because we can lead with the Mox Diamond and immediately gamble for the Loam, and then come with the Port on the next turn. So opponent mulligan to 6. We will start with the Mox Diamond, pitching a Taiga. And we're going to play the Port because that's the one land we really don't want to discard off the gamble. Because we're looking to start porting our opponent on the next turn if we need. So we did pitch the Punishing Fire there. Alright, this looks like it's going to be Steel Stompy. Leading with the Blink Maw Nexus, no turn 1 play. So in this spot, I think it's okay to gamble for Wasteland. We want to cast the gamble before our opponent has a chance to Ancient Tomb and Chalice of the Void. I'm thinking it's Wasteland. It could be Grove of the Burnwillows also. Depends on the kind of game we want to play. I'm going to get the Wasteland. And then I'll play the Wasteland and I'll pass the turn. Upkeep, I'll just Port. And then next turn we can double waste. So we baited a Wasteland from our opponent. So on this turn we'll probably just Loam back to 3 lands and then Wasteland the Blink Moth. So now we caught the Grove and the Tranquil Thicket to be able to start drawing cards. Opponent just scooped. So it looks like this is some kind of, I'm assuming a Steel Stompy. So for this matchup, I think we want the Ancient Grudge and the Krosan Grips. I think we want to go a little lighter on our 1-drops. So I'll cut a gamble and a crop rotation. These are the cards we want in. And since we're coming with the Krosan Grip and the Ancient Grudge, we might want this Ancient Tomb to speed us along. So I'll put that over here. I'm looking at board in 3, 4, 5. We don't really need the bog. We'll also look to trim some other lands. Karakas doesn't seem very important. I don't think our opponent has many ways to interact with the 2020 other than land-based blocks with Ink Moth or Blink Moth. So we want to keep the full package on the combo. I'm debating whether I want the Glacial Chasm. I don't know what kind of graveyard hate to expect other than maybe Tormod's Crypt, maybe Relic of Progenitus. If it was a deck that would probably play heavier graveyard hate, then I would consider boarding out the Manabond, but I think that having access to more acceleration is probably going to be better. I don't know. We're boarding in a lot of spells. I could see just cutting the Manabond and keeping the Glacial Chasm. So these are going to be our swaps. Out, 1 Gamble, 1 Crop Rotation, 1 Bojuka Bog, 1 Karakas, and a Manabond. These go out, these stay in. Okay, when I look at this hand, we have double acceleration and a Punishment Fire for removal. It's really nice to see the Riftstone Portal with the Mox Diamond. That will allow our Maze of Ith and other lands to tap for green mana. Now this hand has no mana disruption, which seemed to be the best element against this deck, which makes me not really want to keep it, but it is a turn 2 combo if we draw a Crop Rotation or a Dark Depths. So I'm going to give it a try. It's a reasonable hand. It's not the best hand. It has a maze if they happen to get on board. They scryed. Here comes the ley line. So this is definitely going to be a combo game. There's a Wasteland. So I'm going to lead on the exploration, and then I'll play a maze. This doesn't take us off turn 2 combo because we have the Mox Diamond, and playing the maze might get our opponent to want to Wasteland this Taiga. I want to be able to at least present a Punishing Fire to this Arcbound Ravager. So I'm going to play these 2 lands and pass the turn. There's no point to Punishing Fire until he has a second artifact on the stack, because we have the Maze of Ith to block it, essentially. And I don't want to commit that Punishing Fire in case we do happen to draw a Krosan Grip or a gamble for a Krosan Grip to get that ley line off the board. Another Wasteland. Okay, so I think this is going to be a good point to go ahead and Punishing Fire this Ravager. Now we're hoping to draw Dark Depths or Crop Rotation. Since our opponent has tapped down the Wastelands. That was not the best draw. Again, we want to hide the Thespian stage until we can either find a forest or a means to combo. Loam was a dead draw, so we just pass back. So we'll play the Glacial Chasm, sack the Riftstone Portal. This might prompt our opponent to blow that other Wasteland, which will open us up to being able to draw a combo. I'm debating whether I want to play the stage out, because the thing is, we could play the stage and then copy. We really should have thought about that before we played our land, because you kind of want to hide as much information as possible, and I think it's okay to keep it for now. This will protect us from an artifact plus waste on the Glacial Chasm. So it's looking like this turn we're going to take no damage or 1 damage. He's probably going to wait to waste the Maze of Ith. Ooh, that was a reason. That was a reason to copy the to play the Thespian stage, because then we could use the stage to copy something else, like the Wasteland. Spyglass is very potent against the land stack. So now he named the maze, so if he wastes the chasm, he can attack. Well, he needs to play another artifact first. Okay, so yeah, opponent needs to play another artifact here to have lethal. But it's still going to be lethal even if we draw Dark Depths, because we can't block both these creatures. So I think we're just dead. Thinking if there's anything we gamble for here. Oh yeah, an Ancient Grudge actually would not be bad here. Oh no, we don't have the mana. Also, we can't flash it back. Yeah, we're just dead. Okay, so after seeing that, I think Tireless Tracker is going to be a good include because it can block the Lodestone Golem. And it plays through the ley line. I think we could probably cut the Molten Vortex to reduce our 1-drop count. Crop rotation's fine. I think maybe this gamble can go. I think I'm going to get rid of the Riftstone Portal. We do have the Ancient Tomb in to accelerate. We'll be on the play. This looks like a good hand. We have the Ancient Grudge. We have the turn 1 Exploration on the play that can't be chaliced. So I think to start we would want Taiga in the Exploration and then play the Rishadan Port. Then next turn we go play the Wasteland, play the Tracker, and then play the Ancient Tomb. With the 2 mana we can crack the clue. This hand largely ignores the ley line if the opponent has ley line, which the opponent did. Oftentimes people will keep weaker hands with the ley line because they think that's going to be our death knell. Okay, in this spot I'm actually going to play the Ancient Tomb. That way we get 2 clues off the Tracker since our opponent does have the ley line. Then we'll pass with the upkeep Port. Opponent does not have a second land. Again, like I said, oftentimes they'll keep a weak hand with the graveyard hate. So we'll crack a clue with the Ancient Tomb because we're likely to use all of our mana. And then our opponent conceded. That just shows the quality of Tireless Tracker against generally all the hate cards there are for lands. This is another reason to play multiple Tireless Trackers. At least 2 to 3. I've played as many as 4 because whenever you don't know what sideboard cards your opponent's playing, the Tireless Tracker beats them all except for Back to Basics. And to some extent it does fight Back to Basics, but the ley lines, the chalices, even Ensnaring Bridge, Tireless Tracker will be out there drawing you cards to get you to a removal for the Ensnaring Bridge. So that match definitely highlighted that. All in all, a good matchup. I think the Ghost Quarters are better than the Ports in that match, but the Port still was very playable. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Tune in tomorrow for another Daily Dredge. I'll look forward to your comments and questions below. One love, good vibes.